your green light's not on, you can tap it and it'll come back. It'll come on. Tap right below it. It says push.
Ready? Okay. Good evening. This is the Town of Copper Canyon Board of Adjustment meeting, Monday, April 18th, 2022, and it is 7 p.m. Central. We're calling this meeting to order. The first item will be public input. These are topics unrelated to the agenda. So if you have anything that's not related to the agenda, you can speak up at this time. Citizens can make comments to the Board of Adjustments during this section of the meeting. We ask citizens who wish to speak on the agenda items to sign in on the sheet provided on the table in the back of council chambers. There is a 3-minute time limit for each speaker. Pursuant to the state open meetings law, the Board of Adjustment cannot discuss or take action on items not posted on the agenda. So at this time, we'll call to order the public input on anything not on the agenda. Does anyone wish to speak? Did you fill out a sheet? Are you Mr. Jensen? I have one request from Mr. Jensen. Are you Mr. Jensen? Oh, no? Okay. So on the agenda, we'll hear those comments soon. Anything else? Anyone else wish to speak? Okay, it is 7:01 p.m. Public input is now closed. Sorry. Public hearings I was going to open. Public hearing is now open at 7:02 p.m. The first item that we have is an affirmation that each of the board members has to respond to. So Sheila would like to walk us through this.
As evidence to this meeting is a formality. For that. For each person that wants to speak this evening, you will need to swear or affirm to the oath printed out on the podium before you speak. You would then sign. And board members, I'm going to ask that you each read the oath in front of you, and so we have it on record that y'all have done that as well.
So Catherine, ladies first. Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay. I, Catherine Bexler, do solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence that I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
I, Paul Dietz, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
I, Dave Svedek, do solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence that I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
I, Nathan Langston, do solemnly swear or affirm that the evidence that I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
I, Aaron Myesis, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Okay, so the public hearings are officially open again and started at 7:02 p.m. The Town of Copper Canyon's Board of Adjustments will conduct a public hearing for the purpose of hearing any and all comments regarding, first, the request from Robert Shade with regard to the property at 1570 Copper Canyon Road, legally described as A0246A, L. Cohen Trail 8 or TR8, 4.2061 acres, Old Denton CAD Trail 3A in parentheses 2, Copper Canyon, Denton County, Texas, for a variance from the Town of Copper Canyon General District Zoning Regulations, Article 4, Section 4-104, accessory buildings, in parentheses, capital D and end paren, begin paren 2, end paren. The second item, the request from Greg and Lee Ann Struck with regard to the property at 909 Hillside, in parentheses, legally described as Woodlands 1, Block G, Lot 3, Town of Copper Canyon, Denton County, Texas, in paren, for a variance from the Town of Copper Canyon General District Zoning Regulations, Article 4, Section 4-104, in parentheses, capital D, and paren, beginning paren 8, and paren, period. So at this point, we will hear from the public regarding item number 11570 or 909. Does anyone wish to speak? I have one request, I believe, from Glenn Jensen to speak. Okay, like either one. Thank you. And before you begin speaking, if you could take that oath, you put one on the podium, right? Okay, and then just sign it. Yeah.
Man, it's a slippery deal here. Okay. I, Glenn Jensen, do solemnly swear and affirm that the evidence that I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. My name is Glenn Jensen. My wife Cindy here is with me today. I am the resident, the owner of the property on 905 Hillside Drive, which is the property that directly butts up against what is requested in the way of the variance.
When you say butts up, I just want to clarify, as you face the house, you're on the right or the left of the?
I am on the right, so I am on the south side of the proposed variance.
South side of the variance. Okay, thank you.
That's right. When I received the variance letter, I went and spoke to Mr. Strunk to voice our concerns. I left the meeting feeling that he will continue with the building plans despite the negative impacts that this will have on us. The first negative impact that I believe is going to occur is our resale value of our property by having an 85-foot long, 25-foot tall building facing our property. Imagine what a potential buyer might think when they see an overly large white metal building. You know, you come back and you look at this deal and it kind of looks like McGee's Storage is next to me. The building could limit buyers. It could limit buyers. They walk away, they say, I don't like the looks of this thing, and they leave, and prevent us from getting fair market value for our house. There is equal potential of financial impacts may be placed on the neighbors. Same thing, this is going to be visible from other properties, and I would say particularly to the rear. We will lose the ability to fully enjoy the scenery around our property, and we will be significantly impacted by the construction of a 2,375-foot square building. This will be a barn dominium on a 1-acre lot. Now, I'm sure it'll look fine and great on their side, but on the rear side, I'm going to be faced with a blank white wall, 85 feet by 20 feet tall. The building will be 220% larger than the current building that is there, which is approximately 1,080 square feet. The 85-foot long building will create a 70% blockage of our 120-foot side yard. It's going to leave a sliver at the back where I can maybe see some bushes, and the area that'll be seen in the front will amount, really what's left is looking at their house. So you could argue it's more than a 70% blockage. Now imagine moving the building 8 feet closer to us. That'll make the building look even larger and provide more blockage. There is potential that the area between the building and fence becomes a place where items can be placed to further detract from our view. I spoke to Mr. Strunk about this and he assured me that it wouldn't happen. But I know from personal experience that it has happened because the previous owner is the one who built the 60-foot long shed that's currently there now. And he used to put ladders up against it and move things, behind it, because who wants to see those things in the yard? You've got things you want to bring there, a swing set or whatever. You bring it over to the side yard between the building and the fence, and then the neighbors get to enjoy it. The surrounding properties might also be affected by this as well. There's also concern about drainage issues for us and the surrounding properties. The added width of an 85-foot wide foundation could cause ponding issues on our property. Currently, there's 50 feet with the 15-foot easement and the 25 feet that is not currently built on. There's a good 50 feet that allows water to go around the structure that's currently there. But imagine moving that out now, and now we've only got 15 feet in the back. It's going to divert water, or it could cause ponding issues on our side, with this thing, if it is moved closer, and who knows what's going to happen there if it were to be moved closer. There's potential if the area between the building and fence becomes the place where items are, if items are placed in that area, it could become a blockage issue. A board falls down and now a heavy rain comes and the drainage starts to go, but there's things there in the way and it starts to back up. This could, amplify ponding issues in my yard. Has an engineering study been completed to evaluate the possible impact? That's a question. Okay, I would urge that be done. There's obviously issue. One of the people in the back said he's already got drainage issues with the water flow. There's quite a bit of water that comes down through our area from the neighbor above me, to them, and to everybody else below there. So what could be a minor problem now could be amplified if more water is diverted down into other areas. We are also concerned about possible additions that could be made to the building in the future. Mr. Strunk assured me that wouldn't happen. There's nothing to say that the property's sold at a future date and somebody else decides to add things in there. At 20 foot high, it will be possible to add a second story within the structure. And I would suspect that this could happen in the rear area where the recreation room and all of this sort of thing is. There could be windows added to our side to further detract from our ability to enjoy the privacy of our property. Right now, there's no windows that are shown on that side, but there's nothing to say that they couldn't be added in the future by somebody else. There's already windows in the plan on the north and east side, which would certainly affect the neighbor's privacy should somebody come along and add a second story within the interior. There's no mention where the HVAC system will be located. Is it going to be put between the building and my fence so that I'll be able to enjoy not only the view of the side of the building, but also enjoy the noise of an air conditioning unit running in summertime? Or will it be put on the other side and the neighbors get to enjoy it? These are questions that I have. How will the plumbing be handled for the new building? There's no indication how that'll be done and run to the existing septic tanks. If I'm not mistaken, the septic tanks are up close to the house. The bathroom and so forth is going to be added in the back of this building. I think it's an uphill run to get to the septic tank. A building of 25-foot width, this is calling for a 25-foot width building, is unnecessary for the intended purpose. As I read it, the purpose is to be able to park two cars side by side. A typical two-car garage is 20 feet wide. A building which is more than ample to accommodate two cars side by side. It doesn't need to be 25 feet. The desire to have the additional building width is the only reason that the French drains, leach lines, and trees are affected. If you don't want to tear down trees, don't build a 25-foot wide building. The building at 20 feet high is unnecessary, is also unnecessary for the intended purpose. Cars, boats, motorhome will certainly fit under a 15-foot high building. I urge them to explore alternatives. Move the structure to the north side of the property, where there's 92 feet of space, instead of squeezing it over on my side. Unfortunately, the house is built not on the center of the lot. It's built very much on my side of the lot, and now squeezing in this ginormous building, to me, makes no sense. We are not in favor of having this building moved 7 feet closer to us through variance. There may be additional expenses for the builder without a variance, but that should not come at our detriment. If you want it, pay for it. I pieced together a picture here, which I gave you in your handout. It shows the existing building, which you can see there is the kind of light tan and brown area of the building. That's the building that's there right now. Now, now change that into an 85-foot long building. I've added this yellow strip across the top and on the side, which would show you what it would be to have another 5 feet of height and another 25 feet added to the rear end of the property, of the building. So it's essentially, you can see now, it's taking up the entire side yard. In fact, when I took the picture, I couldn't even get it all in one picture. I had to snap a picture, move the camera, and snap it again, and then I had to piece the two together to give you this representation. Before the final decision is made, we encourage the members of this board to take a few minutes to come see for yourself the impact this will have on us. We respectfully request that this committee tables this request until after you have come to see the situation for yourself and questions concerning the drainage, HVAC, and plumbing can be answered. If a decision is made now, we humbly request that the variance is denied for the reasons that we have stated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, was I supposed to sign this paper? There's no signature area on it?
Oh, just
Any-
sign on there, and the other people will sign below.
Sheila, was there anyone else that was wanting to speak?
I think so, they just didn't do the sheets, and that's fine, that's part of the public hearing.
Okay. Were there other speakers that wish to speak on any of the two properties? This will be the only time to speak. We won't do it during when we actually take the issue. We won't do public speaking. So this is the time if you have any comments. Yes, please.
I, Greg Strunk, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
And can you state your address as well, please?
It's 909 Hillside.
Thanks.
So my wife and I are the Strunks. We live next door, and we're the ones asking for the variance. And there is currently a building there that's already 65 feet. So we're at 60, I'm sorry, 60. So it's 16 feet high. We're looking to go 20 high and 25 wide. So there's other buildings in Copper Canyon on 1 acre lots that are basically about the same size. So we're looking to do the same. We want to improve our property. The current building is, you can see in the pictures, it's not as nice as what we're wanting to put in. It's very basic, and it's not closed in on either end. And the guy that built it before us built it out of scraps. And so we're looking to put a lot nicer building in and improve our storage capacity for cars and boats. And then also in the back of the building, we'll have a recreational area for my boys. We have 3 boys. They're getting into teenage years and they need a little room. So we want a place for them to play ping pong or hang out with their friends, watch football games or whatever. So that's what we're looking to do. Now, as far as drainage goes, I will take care of my side of the drainage if there's currently not a problem with the drainage. So if there is, then what I'm dealing with now is all the water coming from my neighbor comes right down my driveway, and I actually had to put in a French drain. And I put a 120-foot French drain to take that water from the driveway to the back of the property. And that water is coming from their lot, not mine. So the water on where the building is a lot flatter. There's no pooling now. I don't expect any pooling to be in the future. So, but we also, as far as HVAC and plumbing, and that's all to come later. I don't know. I don't have plans finalized yet. We need to see if we will get the variance, and then depending on where we put the building depends on where that stuff gets placed. So, I mean, but right now, we're not wanting to upset the neighbors. Actually, the neighbors behind us, across the street from us, and all around us, they're actually for the building. They're fine with it. They've casted their vote and said that they don't have a problem with it. So now, as far as property value goes, I don't see how putting a nicer building in is going to impact property value. So, I mean, you already have a pretty good sized building there now. We're just trying to improve it, make it look better. So we don't want to upset the neighbors, but then also we want to be able to utilize our property in this rural area, and lots of people in the area have metal buildings on 1 acre lots. We're just trying to utilize our property too. So I did talk to Glenn and his wife and told him that I wasn't going to put windows on his side. And I talked with the neighbors, and I won't put any windows on the top and the back either. So there won't be any windows facing the neighbors. Now, we will have a door over there for fire purposes, but there won't be any windows. I don't have a problem with no windows. But we do have windows facing inward to our property, and there may be a couple on, probably below fence line. So, but we really plan to make it a very nice looking building. It will definitely look better than what's there now. And the purpose of our building, whether it's up to us to decide what kind of room we need, not my neighbor. So whether it be 25 feet wide or 30 feet wide, it's up to us to make the decision on that. I'm not trying to fight with anybody. I'm just put a plan together, and I was hoping to be able to execute it. And then if we get the variance, that'd be great. Because on the other side, we'll have to take out some very beautiful, nice trees. I'll have to move the drainage that I've already put in place. It's there now. I've got the French drain in. I'll have to dig that up and move it over. And then, we're just trying to avoid that issue. So anyway, you come and look, like he said, you're more than welcome to come and take a look at the property and take a look at it. That's fine with us. So anyway, thank you for your time.
Does anyone have any questions? I have a question.
Sure.
One of the things that the other gentleman raised was that there was no plan for HVAC. You confirm that, so I understand that. Drainage, there's been no engineering study on any
No.
drainage on what could happen when that size building goes in. You confirm that as well?
Right, that's true.
Okay. And then the other point that was raised was that it's currently at 16 feet and it's going to 20.
Yep.
Can you just help us understand why the additional like height?
Well, we plan to put RV, a very large boat, multiple cars in there, and then the upper part will be more like storage. It's not going to be a second story per se, but it will be storage.
Okay.
So it'll be above an RV, which is 14 feet, right? The boat we're talking about is probably 13 feet high, if not taller. So those will go in, and then we'll put storage stuff above that.
Okay. Your application also stated that you're going to put in a bathroom, a
That's correct.
kitchenette, sort of a living area office, right?
Yeah,
Which is currently restricted by ordinance. We don't allow that in outside the house. That's not what we're ruling on today. We're just looking at setbacks. But let's just say that that goes through somehow, that the council or somebody decides to let that go through, even though it's currently not available. There is the question of the additional sewage. Where would that go? Where do you plan on putting that? Since you now have a swimming pool there, and we saw where you currently have your lat lines, where does that drainage go? For that
Drainage.
bathroom, for the
Oh,
bathroom.
well, we would probably end up putting in a new septic system. So,
Okay, 1 second.
no, there's still leach line.
I have a general question, I guess, for you, Sheila. So the only thing that we're here to consider is the setback area.
Correct.
That's correct.
All of this other stuff, we really don't need to worry about at this time. It may come before a committee sometime in the future, but right now, all we're concerned about is setback. Okay.
We have a septic inspector and we also have our engineer who looks at drainage, septic and all that. So that comes with the permitting process during the permitting.
So I'll explain my questions on the HVAC and the roof height and the additional septic. And it is because once the building's there, you somehow have to make an accommodation for the HVAC and the lat lines to go in for the sewage. So while that's not technically our consideration, it's something that ultimately has to be decided on, right? You ultimately have to put it somewhere. And so the setback becomes important because you could shift it to, and I'm not saying I agree with this gentleman or not, but if it was on the other side of the property, you have a lot more room to do that sort of thing versus impacting the side that it's on. So that's the purpose of my
There's no
question.
side been decided on HVAC.
There's no what now?
The side hasn't been decided where.
Right.
would
No, I
go.
understand that. But the purpose of my questions is when we think about the setback, we also have to, we're thinking about some of the other considerations that ultimately would have to be brought into this. So, okay. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay, any other comments? Yes, sir. If you want to speak, you have to come up here, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your comments. And name, address, and then if you could take that off there too, please.
Okay, I'm Henry P. Bergman, and I do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Okay. Anyway, I own 912 Meadow, and I have had some flooding issues, and I don't know exactly where the property is. It's behind, on Hillside, that's directly behind Meadow, I believe. Okay. And I have. Okay. I do have a concern on the drainage because I've had flooding come through the house after we've had some severe rains.
So your house is to the north.
Yes, yeah,
So your water's coming towards me.
okay, because I'm not sure where your house is.
Yeah, east to the north.
I'm downhill.
Okay, for the public hearing, what we're gonna do is have you address the
Okay.
board, and then
Sorry.
we can't have discussion back here, if we could, please. That'll keep it.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'd just like to get more information on it before it's allowed.
So summarizing, did I hear correctly that you're concerned about possible flooding from this structure
Yes,
into your property?
or
Okay.
diverting the water some form.
Okay.
So,
And I understand also that you are backing up to this property more or less on the street.
I'm not exactly sure. I'm at
Okay.
912 Meadow. So
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Thank
I
you,
guess
sir.
that's it.
Any other comments from the public? Yes, sir. Please. Name, address, and if you could say the oath and sign it as well, please.
Okay. My name is Patrick Wallace. I live at 904 Hillside Drive. I, Patrick Wallace, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Like I said, I live at 904 Hillside Drive. We live directly across the street from the Strunks, so the other side of Hillside. And so I just wanted to share my support for what the Strunks are doing. I've seen their structure there, and what he was saying about it being built out of, scrap and looking, less than desirable, I guess. Any upgrades that he would like to make to that, I fully support. And so I just wanted to share that, my property doesn't butt up next to either side of his or the back, but we are across the street. So from our standpoint, looking out, seeing a nicer structure like that, I think would only help our property value, to tell you the truth. So, and that's really all I had to share.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other comments on either property before we close? Yes. Yes. Yep.
My name's Robert Shade. I live at 1570 Copper Canyon Road. I, Robert Shade, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Neat. My project is to build, I collect, 1570. Our house was built in 1955. It's probably one of the older homes in Copper Canyon. We're on a little over 4 acres. I collect classic cars, and I have a 4-car garage currently that's separate from the house. And as in the packet that you received, there's a drawing on there which shows the position that I'd like to put the new 4-car garage. The variance is that the variance is that the garage would be on the west side of the current garage. So it would impact 24 feet technically in front of the lateral line in front of the house, but it still would be about 150 feet back. My house sits a couple hundred feet back from the yard, or street. So it's not up close to the street at all. The biggest reason I want to put it in that location, if you see from the photos, there are no trees that need to come down and put it in that position. The other option is to put it on the north corner of the current garage. There's several problems with that. There are 11 large oak trees that would have to come down, which I would hate to have to lose. In addition to that, my utility pole is there with my transformer and the power coming into the house. It would need to be relocated. As well, as you can see from the drawing, my gray water septic system is also in that side. I've got, because of the old house, I have a 2 septic system. Black water is on the south side of the house. The gray water system is on the north side of the house. So aesthetically, I believe putting the garage where I want it is much more attractive for people driving down Copper Canyon Road, because you'd be looking at the back of the garage and seeing siding and windows, as opposed to if I put it on the other side, you're going to just see a massive bank of garage doors when you're driving by. So I think it would really look more attractive from the angle that I would like to place it. That's pretty much what I have as far as on the variance. If I sat up way close to the street, I could understand giving up those extra 24 feet. But like I said, I do sit 150, or this building will be 150 feet back from the road.
I have some questions for clarification, I guess.
Yes,
So essentially, this is almost an add-on to an existing shed or garage
yes,
that, if built today, would have required a variance anyway, because it's in front of the house. And that's what this variance is for. Is that
yeah.
correct?
The whole discussion on this is just because of the location being the 24 feet. You see that they're connected by a breezeway between the two, just where you can walk from one garage to the other. But and it's solely for car storage. Like I say, I collect classic cars and I need some more space. So, any other questions?
Will it build the same material as the existing garage?
Yes, it literally will be a mirror image of the existing garage. So I didn't want to put a metal building up that would look something different. I wanted something that would have some continuity to the property.
From the street side, it would still look like a, so as the current garage for the home.
Yes, correct. Yeah. And like I said, yeah, and height and everything. Yeah, building it virtually the same as the current garage. And like I said, my house was built in 1955. It's an old farmhouse. It's a pier and beam home. It's nothing fancy. It's just a little 2,000 square foot house. So
Any issues with the neighbors?
my neighbors are here that are going to get up and speak. So any other questions for me? Okay.
That utility pole that you mentioned in one of the pictures, I'm guessing if I'm looking at the survey, it's gonna be closer to the front of this grade water septic. Is that where you're looking at, and then you have trees this way, or is it further back here?
Yeah, the building we're going to put's there.
Right.
That's the current one. All the trees are all through here. Utility pole there. There's actually a photo that shows an angle. It should be in the back.
Okay.
There. But yeah, that's the gray water system.
So after the trees, then it's really just, it's clear for your leach fields, is what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, they're being there as long as there are a lot of trees on the property, as you can see in some of the photos. But yeah, really the ideal place is.
Okay, and that, with this one, these proposed trees wouldn't be cut because they're inside?
No, that's actually just a shadow from the trees. This space where the tree or garage would go, there's absolutely no trees that have to be removed. Right. But this is heavily lined with trees. And you can see the utility poles right there.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the variance.
Thank you. And any other speakers? Yes. If you come up, yes. Just state your name, your address, and if you could say the oath and sign it, please.
I, Paula Castillo, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. I happen to be in the Woodlands today, walking around. I do know the Jensens. I've known them 20 years. I've spent time in their backyard. I was walking Woodlands today with my husband, and I saw the Strunk's carport. And while I agree, it definitely is not something that they probably want in their backyard. It is very close to the Jensen's fence. There's also another accessory building there that is sort of to the side. It's a large structure, carport. My concern is if they do an 85 by 20-foot building, 25-foot building. Now we have to pour another pad. And the pad now, I know the question is the setback. He has a very large 1 acre lot, as everybody does in the Woodlands. The question is, are we going to give them 7 or 8 feet setback almost directly up to the Jensen's fence? When he has a lovely yard, I understand the French drain, I understand the trees, but that's really not your neighbor's responsibility. And as far as I'm concerned, the variance shouldn't be passed because it butts right up against their fence. They have a nice pool. They have a lovely backyard that they've spent a lot of time in. And the building is a white metal building. I'm not sure when we get to our accessory building ordinances, does that fit in? That's supposed to be, like Catherine said, it's supposed to be similar to the build of the home. But on their plan, it says white metal. And in the Jensen's backyard, if you're sitting in their pool and you have a white metal building literally 10 feet from your pool, how does that impact you environmentally? The question is drainage. There's a lot of issues, but if you do want to go and take a look, you'll see. I understand that they probably want to put something nicer in their backyard, but maybe they should keep it the size it is or move it a little bit out and not go so high, because the setback is literally right up next to their fence. And I think that's something that the board should consider if you would want that 10 feet from your 20 or whatever it is from your swimming pool, because it's their enjoyment as well as the Strunk's enjoyment and their children. So thank you.
Thank you. Paula, did you sign that or? Okay, I just want to make sure we're keeping up with it. Anyone else wish to speak? Yes, sir. So name, address, and if you could say the oath and sign it, please. Thanks, Paul.
I, Mike Cool, I solemnly swear to tell and confirm the evidence and I shall give will be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. My name is Mike Cool. I happen to be Bob Shade's next door neighbor. I'm the closest to him. Where he's proposing to build a garage doesn't affect my place at all. I can't even see the new garage. If you build it attached to the current garage coming down, that would affect my property. It would give me a long building, block my view looking out that way. Right now, I sort of keep an eye on this place when he's gone, but I don't have a problem with him building a garage. Hope you guys approve the variance for him. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, did you sign that as well? Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Cole? No?
So, just a question, is the house right on Copper Canyon and Orchid Hill, right on that corner?
That's Jeff. I'm right behind him.
Okay, okay,
So I'm closest to Bob Shade. He's next closest.
right. I just drove out.
I got one.
What we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Jeff Kerber. I live at 1590 Copper Canyon Road. So I live at the corner of Orchid Hill and Copper Canyon Road. I, Jeff Kerber, do solemnly swear to affirm that the evidence that I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Man, I'm glad we live in a state where we can say, so help me God. And Sheila, you work a lot of hours. So I live, I would be the property that would be most affected if there was an effect, but there is no effect. And these guys are great neighbors. I love having Bob as my neighbor. I think it's a good project. I know you guys have a job to do. Your job is to sort out, we're all neighbors, right? So your job is to, as I understand it, is to protect people from things that aren't good, but to support things that are. I think he's got a good project. He's got a tiny little house, first of all, and he sits way back from the road. And so his 24 feet that violates the front line doesn't violate my house at all. It doesn't even come close because his house sits so far back. And then he's only got a 2,000 square foot house. So my house is like 3,800 square feet. And so, and if you look, so I live right at this corner right here. There's nothing that way, Lantana, and there's really nothing that way, the other way. And Mike sits on the back. And so there's really nobody that's affected by it at all. And so I guess I just wanted to, point out that, as I sit here and listen, we got two pretty different things going on here. And I just can't see how his project is going to bother anybody. And in fact, it's probably a plus. So that's my 2 cents. The only thing that only complaint I would have is that these guys have these loud parties, and it might block the noise a little bit. Of course, I'm kidding. I'm under oath, so I'm kidding.
Jeff, did you see? Yeah, I was just saying.
Somebody signed that. Yeah.
Any questions for Mr. Kerr?
I have one question.
Yes.
Do you know what you said you mentioned that your house is closer up to Copper Canyon Road than what, do you know how close?
No, I really don't. I mean, I could figure it out, because I have a survey, but I know by just standing, if you stand at my front door, his house is way back, like probably
188 feet, I think is what.
is it what he's back. And so is the variance 100 feet? I think I'm probably around where what is setback? What is the legal limit?
We're not considering setbacks in this particular one.
But that's what mine would be.
Okay.
Because I think what you're asking is, and I'm thinking that I didn't build my house, but I'm thinking that the builder probably went up against that. And so I'm guessing that if you stood at my front door, that he's 80 feet back.
So you're on the left
I'm on the.
as you face his house?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Dave's correct. My question wasn't necessarily specific to like comparing setbacks. I was just trying to figure out essentially if that, to his point earlier, he was, John was making a comment about looking out to the side where that garage would fit.
It's not going to affect me at all.
So I'm kind of looking to see if that would be essentially in the front of your house.
And actually, I have a barn that sits between our house and his house. So his building that he's going to build will be about even with my barn.
Yeah, which is at the back.
Yeah, they call it the back, but it's side. I mean, you know what I mean? It's the side anyway.
Thank you.
We're good?
Any other questions? No. Catherine, anything? Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyone else wish to speak? Yes, ma'am. So name, address, and oath and sign, please.
Hi, my name is Leanne Strunk. I am Greg Strunk's wife. I live at 909 Hillside Drive. Leanne Strunk, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. I'm going to sign this before I forget. A lot has already been said. I don't really have a lot to add other than I just want everyone to know that we have put a lot of thought into this before we got here. Once the proposed notices went out, we spoke to all of our neighbors around us, behind us, on the other side of us, adjacent to us, across the street and diagonal to us. They were not able to be here today, but they did register their comments with the town that they are in approval of what we are doing. All we want to do is improve upon our property, and we're just requesting the variance today. We still have some other things to work out, such as the color, the height, HVAC, plumbing, and all of those things. But we do want to work with our neighbors while we also try to build this building to meet the functional needs of our growing family. We care a lot about Copper Canyon. We love it here. We just want to improve upon our property, give it some good resale. Although I told my husband, I'm dying in this house. I'm not moving again. I love it that much. And we just want to create a space that we can grow old and that our kids and grandkids will enjoy it as well. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Any questions? No. Anyone else wish to speak? Okay. So public hearings are now closed at 7:50 PM. And we'll now go into the action and discussion items. So the first action item is to discuss and consider and take action regarding the minutes of the August 30th, 2021 Board of Adjustments meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes for these meeting minutes? Okay, Paul Dietz motions to approve. Do I have a second? Nate seconds the motion. All in favor, aye. Unanimous vote. The second item is to discuss, consider, and take action regarding the request from Robert Shade with regard to property at 1570 Copper Canyon Road, parentheses legally described as A0246A L Cohen, track 8, 4.2061 acres, Old Denton CAD TR 3A, parentheses 2, parentheses Copper Canyon, Denton County, Texas, parentheses, for a variance from the Town of Copper Canyon General District Zoning Regulations, Article 4, Section 4-104, accessory buildings, parentheses, capital D, parentheses, 2, parentheses. The request is for a variance from the accessory building location requirements. The ordinance states that no accessory building shall be located in the front of yard of any lot. The property owner is requested to build an accessory building in the side front yard. So we'll discuss that at this time. Does anyone have any questions or comments, or do you want to vote?
Did drive by the property. House does sit way, way back. It's probably the candidate where the lot could actually be split. So that's after the impact on the neighbors is going to be minimal.
I too drove by both properties actually today and looked at that one. I look at those three houses all the time on that one corner because I pass it often. So I know exactly where it is. I looked especially at where you said you were going to be placing it. And I agree that from Copper Canyon Road, which is where I stopped and took a look at it twice actually on each way, I looked at where it would be placed and I saw the trees. There's the distance between Copper Canyon Road and the property. And then there's a set of trees. And then there's this area where he's building, as he described to you, Aaron. And to me, it seemed like minimal impact. And given the neighbors that are closest to him, given that consideration as well. And the fact that it would be, I think your question was good about the same material. So it looks aesthetically the same. That was important and so forth. I didn't see any overall objections to it. So any comments or questions?
No, I looked at from the Google Earth when able to leave. And he has some challenges because of the very back that is a pretty sizable pond. So it leaves him not, and then of course having both septic tanks on both sides, it leaves a bit of a challenge for him to navigate around his property on the backside, which is what the ordinance states. So I don't have any questions.
I don't either.
Catherine?
I'm fine with that. I think that most homes are a little further closer to the street, so having the run that much closer would be kind of an eyesore, but because it's so far back, I don't think it's going to be an eyesore at all. I think I'm fine with it where it is, as long as it matches what else is existing there. I don't have an issue.
Okay, is there a motion to grant the variance?
A motion to grant the variance.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Nate to grant the variance, second by, I think I heard Aaron first, seconded. And so the motion has been seconded. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we have 4 ayes. Fifth, you can add me in there. Unanimous vote to grant the variance. Variance is granted. Okay, Sheila, is there anything else that we need from? Okay, thank you.
Y'all don't have to stay.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Okay. The third item to consider, discuss and consider and take action regarding the request from Greg and Leanne Strunk with regard to the property at 909 Hillside Drive, parentheses, legally described as Woodlands 1 Block G, Lot 3, Town of Copper Canyon, Denton County, Texas, in paren, for a variance from the Town of Copper Canyon General District Zoning Regulations, Article 4, Section 4-104, in paren, capital D, and paren, begin paren, number 8, and paren. The request is for the variance from the minimum side yard setback requirement. The ordinance calls for a 15-foot side yard setback. The property owner is requesting to build an accessory building with an 8-foot side yard setback. Discussion. Oh, excuse me. Before we go forward, so a letter was sent to us and it was requested that we read this letter to the group. This is from Mr. H. Mariano at 900 Meadow Drive. Copper Canyon Board of Adjustments dated April 18th, 2022 regarding variance of 909 Hillside Drive. We object to the variance. Vote no, because allowing this will create a precedent for other various requests. We believe this takes away from the rural nature of our property, H.J. Mariano and Geraldine Morano. Okay, we also received additional emails right before this meeting. Unfortunately, they did not give their addresses, but Dave Bain sent in, I take it back, Dave calls himself out as 908 Meadow Drive in Copper Canyon. And he said, we are the neighbor right behind them. Our backyard share a fence. I just want to let you know that we're in favor of the new building that Greg and Leanne Strunk want to build. Then we have a Michelle, I'm going to cream this name. It looks like Crecelius, Crecelius. Doesn't have an address, but they're also saying that they are not opposed to the building. We have an email from Lindsay Wallace. I just wanted to email you tonight to let you know that the Wallace household across from the Strunks at 904 Hillside Drive votes yes to them building a new structure and building. They have great taste renovating their home, and I have no doubt whatever they will build will be just as beautiful. Thank you so much, Lindsay Wallace. And then we have two from the same household, from Dan Kuby and Pamela Kuby, saying Sheila, Dan, and Pam Kuby do not have an issue with the 8-foot setbacks, but I don't have an address on them. So those are that's the input that we received from some surrounding neighbors. So discussion is now open.
Yes, from my point of view, the issue that we need to talk about here is the setback element.
Exactly. Yeah.
Could y'all talk real close to your mic?
The issue we're talking about here is the setback and the setback only. Whether the building ultimately gets built or not is, at least at this point, irrelevant. Well, I hope it gets built and everybody is happy in that situation. But we have heard from people here who are concerned with the setback itself, and that bothers me. I know that I moved to Copper Canyon because I didn't like people right across the fence from me either. So the ability to have that, right, and the reason we have that ordinance in place is so that you have a feeling of openness and in the land that you own yourself. So that's the concern that I have about this, of approving this variance is that we've heard from several people who said granting this variance would impact them. So, and I don't think that we should impact our neighbors.
I drove by this afternoon. I drove by this afternoon and did a site visit, and I do believe that, I mean, the building that's there is pretty awesome. I mean, as far as size, I think to move closer to that fence line will impact that neighborhood long beyond the tenants and the landowners that are there now. And I think it's exactly why we have these ordinances, actually. I too moved to Copper Canyon so that I wasn't really close to my neighbor. He used to be my neighbor. But in all seriousness, I can see how a 2-story wall, 8 feet from a fence line, could impact other properties. And so I have concern about that.
Okay, Catherine?
I have a question. Is your home a 1 or 2-story home? 1 story. So my concern is that it would dwarf the home, this large metal structure. And I too am concerned about being so close to the fence line. I do understand your need and wanting to improve it, because that's all, we all want to improve our property and make sure that it's for the best and improve the value for us and the neighboring properties. However, I just think that it would encroach too much into that side yard, that if this was a home, the town would not allow a home. I don't think it would allow a home beyond that side yard sideline. So I'm not in favor of reducing that side yard. And I think currently you have it looks like you have a pretty tall structure, but by improving it, what you have right now, and obviously doing better materials to your, and turning it into what your family wants to use, it seems to be pretty sizable. So I have reservation about moving the side yard.
Okay, Aaron?
I know that Mr. and Mrs. Strunk would make a significant improvement on this building and this part of this property. I too have concerns just about the amount of the length of the building and how long that building is and the setback on that side. 85 feet, and of course, taking up a significant portion of their property on that one side of the property.
Thank you. So I will say I drove by it. I took a look at it, and I'm keeping as close to just looking at the setback, not looking at the height or the width or the color or anything else. But I do have to say that the setback it's an 85-foot building setback closer to the fence. And when I looked at the aerial from Denton CAD of where their pool is, it literally faces right into that building. And I'm in agreement with my counterparts that would be a significant impact. And the person who spoke up loudest against it is the person that has the biggest impact. They're the ones that have to face it. So the people across the street and some of these others, unfortunately, they didn't give their addresses, so I have no clue where they are. I happen to know Dave Bain, and I trust him, and he voted yes for you. But notwithstanding, he's not the one who's going to have the largest impact by way of the closeness to the fence, right? We don't have an engineering study by way of flooding. If we have one of these torrential downpour rains on an 85-foot building, I have concerns, although I'm not saying that would be part of my decision here because it's merely the setback, but it's something that should have been taken care of or should be considered if you reapply or something. So the setback concerns me, the size of the setback, the length of the setback. and the impact on the visual to your neighbor that is most visually impacted, I'm not in favor of it. So I think at this point, we would take a vote. I'll just do roll call. Catherine? No? Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have a motion for the variance? To deny the variance?
Make a motion to deny the variance.
Is it seconded? I'll go Catherine, since we'll give turns. So Catherine seconds it. So the motion's on the table. Those that are in favor of denying the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous vote. Motion's denied. The variance is denied. Yes. Okay. Let's see. Yep. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Okay. Aaron, motion first, Paul second, and those that are in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous vote. The meeting is adjourned at